bring this all up. So this is the benefit formula, and this is where it all comes together. So Paul explained a lot of this. I took over at the YMP. So the first step is service. It's allowable service. So as we talked about before, there's a bunch of different types of service. There's continuous service, that's your amount of time with the company. Qualifying service, that's your milestones. When you hear people talk about 80 points, needing 80 points to retire, that's qualifying service. But the type of service that goes into your pension calculations is your allowable service. And what's a little bit different about allowable service, if you do a projection in your calculation details, you will see it will be a different number than your qualifying service for most people, because it is prorated for if you ever spent any time part-time. If you never spent any time part-time, your qualifying service and your allowable service should be pretty much the same. If you spend time part-time, if you're only getting 20 hours a week, for every month that you spent doing 20 hours a week, you would get 1 month of qualifying service, but only be credited with half the month for allowable service. So this is a factor here when we're talking about the money. So, calculated in whole months, maximum 420 months, which is 35 years. After 35 years, you've maxed out the contribution you're going to get from the plan. Earnings, average annual compensation, so this is your best 36 months, maximum of $94,000. That is the pension cap. So every time you see AAC, that's referring to the average over your best 36-month period. Percentage factors for all your ex-Canadian service, 1.4%. And this is where the YMP is a factor. 1.75% for all Air Canada service below the YMP, and 2% on all service above the YMP, and all full months on good WCB. So, again, once you've hit the YMP every year, not only do you get to keep that money that's not going to the Canada Pension Plan, but you're also contributing a little bit more to your Air Canada Pension Plan. You barely notice it on your check, but it's there. You're contributing a little bit more to it every time, and you're going to get more of a benefit from it, which you're about to see. So here we've got some examples. So this person is due to retire January 1st of 2025. Allowable.
So Chris, just for clarification, we pointed it out.
Yeah.
The finance max is 60,000.
Yes. Yes. So I should bring that 60,000 exactly. Okay. 60,000 exactly. Very important point. Retirement date January 1st, 2025. Allowable Air Canada type service 35 years, 420 months. Average annual compensation. So this person's 3 best years or best 36-month period made $65,000 with the YMP. The best 3 years were between 2016 and 2018, back when the average YMP for that period was $55,367. So, to calculate the pension, what you do, first of all, you calculate everything up to the YMP. The 35 years allowable service, the pension, the YMP maximum, because they made over that, multiply that by 1.75%. Then you get $33,912.29. You add that then, the whole number, to this calculation here. 35 years service still, now it's $9,000, $9,633, because that's the difference between what he earned and the YMPE for those years. It was $9,633 at 2%. It's calculated at a higher benefit. So $6,743.10. Add these two numbers together, and this person's getting a pension of $40,655.39. Looks pretty good. So, take this same person. Right now, their best 3 years are between 2016 and 2018, as we showed you before, when the YMP was significantly lower. Now, the same person over these 3 years averaged $1 more. Right? Instead of averaging $65,000, average $65,001. This is between 2022 and 2024. The YMP for these years, $66,667. That's the average YMP. So now as you see, the average made for the 3 best years doesn't even reach the peak of the YMP. So when you calculate the pension, the 35-year service, $65,001 times 1.75% equals $39,813. There's nothing calculated at the above YMP rate because this number is lower. So get 0 from that. So $39,813 is the pension now. This could be the same person, but depending on when they earned slightly more money, this person has a better pension by not earning that extra few dollars. It's a reduction of $842.39 per year, or $70.20 a month.
Sorry, I was just going to say, for example, well, I just did this to myself unintentionally. My best years were when we got our lump sums, and it was a lower YMPE. Well, now I've had those 2% increases, and my last couple of years, now the YMPE is stupid high. Well, the way they look at it, I've earned more in the last couple of years because of that. Now my pension payout is lower because I've got nothing into 2%. So my pension has dropped like $100 a month. So you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person's, the most money they made in 36 months was, let's say 10, 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
are they better off or worse off?
Better off. The earlier you earn that money, the better off you are. Yes, when you got your best average earlier on, because you'll have this lower YMP. I mean, especially if it was 15, 20 years ago, you'd be significantly better off, because much more of the pension would be calculated at this full 2% rather than the 1.75%, right?
The problem is when they look at your best 36 consecutive months, they don't look at the YMPE. They just look at what your earnings are.
So right here, you do the math. I mean, this person would actually have to earn $4,120 total wage increase during this 36-month average annual compensation period to break even. So instead of earning one more dollar, they want to break even with this old projection. Over these 3 years, would have had to earn an extra $4,000 just to break even, not to improve the pension, just to break even with what they had before. So this is something everybody has to keep in mind, right? If you're going to earn more money, you got to make sure to earn a lot more if you're doing it mainly to upgrade your pension. So this is another example, but this is for ex-Canadian. So it's even more of a stark difference. So in this example, this person did 13 years at KL, 22 years Air Canada, so it ends up with 35 years service. Again, 65,000 was the number used for the average YMP for this period of time, 2016 to 2018. It's the same as the other example, $55,367. It's a little bit more complex of formula because it's 13 years at 15,536 times the 1.4, which remember is the for ex-Canadian, that is the benefit number for $10,077. Add that to the 22 years at Air Canada at 1.75% times 55,367, which was the YMPE. That's another $21,316. Now 35 years service, again the difference between these two numbers, $9,633, multiplied by 2%, the highest benefit number, $6,743, ends up with $38,136. This same person, once again, everything's the same except for when they earn the money. Instead of earning between 2016 and 2018, they've earned an extra dollar between 2022 and 2024. So now the YMP is $66,667. So the pension's calculated 12 years at $65,001 times 1.4% for $10,920, and 23 years at $65,001 multiplied by the 1.75%, $26,163, and then nothing for this above the YMP number because they served 65,000, YMPM 66,667. So now it's 37,082. So that's a huge difference. Annually, $1,053 less per year. Every year they're retired, earn $1,000 left, or $87.75 a month. Required average annual compensation for this person to break even would be $66,847. So instead of earning $65,001, would have to earn this number just to break even with the old YMPE number. This would mean a $5,538 total wage increase during this 36-month period. Okay? Any questions? Yes, go ahead. This is what they did is to make you whole, is they went back and kind of paid it through there, so it kind of smoothed things out. I doubt they just kind of gave it to you as basically a pensionable earnings for this past year or whatever was paid out. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be my guess. Yeah. But
Can you just confirm it, please? Isn't it like 36 consecutive years? That's how
must.
it's consecutive?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's not calendar years.
So for this situation, let's say if I'm in the same situation, if you have a best year like 2018, and then another best year of 2020, like it has to be consecutive.
Yeah,
years,
and
right?
it's best months, so it's not
Yeah.
calendar years. That's what throws a lot of people off,
Yeah.
because people think 3 best years. Everybody talks about 3 best years. It's best 36 months, so it can start in the middle of the year. Your best, it might be, June to May, right, of a 3-year period. It could start any time during that span, but it is consecutive. Yeah, so it has to be. And we'll get into this later, but you will see in your calculation details. What throws everybody off is if you do go and run a pension projection and it spits out a number, you check out the calculation details. How did I get to that number? It will show you 4 years for your best 36 months. How does, that math doesn't add up. 36 months is 3 years, not 4. But what it does is it takes part of year 1, calendar year 1, all of calendar year 2, all of calendar year 3, part of calendar year 4. That's how it will show what period was your best 3 years. It will also show you the YMP that's associated with those 3 years. So not only it's the time frame that is there, but also your average annual compensation for those years and the like. Yep. Yes, go ahead.
I had a question.
Absolutely.
For my, let's say if I had my best 4 or 3 years consecutive,
Mm-hmm.
25 years service,
Yes.
and I make like $80,000
Yeah.
a year, are you basing only for the 65,000?
This example is only for
Whatever you make.
65,000. Certainly, you plug in your own number into this formula, and you could say 80,000. It would depend on what years you made that 3 best
like
years.
Starting 2021 or 2024.
Yeah.
Let's say 80,000 insurance.
That's depending on your pension.
For the
That's
4
right.
years.
Oh yes, yes. So you're in finance.
Mhm.
Okay, so your cap would be at
60.
60,000. Yes. So you wouldn't be able to get the 65,000. It would be capped out at 60,000.
Even if you make 80,000.
Even if you make 80, unfortunately.
The
Right.
only time that matters is when the YMP is over 60,000. You earn 1.75 up to what you earn, and then 2 over that. But in this age,
So yeah, now at this point, if you're capped at 60,000, the YMP is at 65,000. There's really no way to earn that extra 2% benefit, unfortunately. Okay, so here's where you would find out, everybody's kind of thinking now, what are my 3 best years? What YMP years are being used? That would all be in pension calculation details. So this is also going to be showing basically the exact example I just showed you, situations in which your pension can possibly decrease. This is on HR Connects now. They put this in there. So the company didn't used to inform anybody that this was a possibility, that you could work more and earn more money and actually reduce your pension. So now they've managed to bury it. I can't even remember this is on HR Connects. So here you go, you click here, you get this breakdown of plan information. And what will ultimately happen is they will basically show you the exact same scenario that Chris has been putting in his seminar for years. That's Chris's talk. I'm not talking about myself in the third person, just so you know. Yeah, basically Air Canada is now using this example to illustrate to people that this same situation I just showed you, where if you retire later, you earn a little bit more money. They made a $10 difference instead of a $1 difference, but they use the exact same average annual compensation. Average YMP for the periods, slightly different. but it's basically the same thing. It's just Air Canada now has decided, oh, maybe we should inform our members about how the pension can work, and this is another example of the same thing.
I have another question.
Yeah. Should be in there because that is, that's what, like I said, the pension's based on basically allowable service, the YMP, and your 3 best years. So if one of those numbers isn't in there, then yeah, there's an issue because you can't do your calculation properly.